is there a difference between failing and losing? If so, what is it?
There's definitely a difference. Failing is when you're playing hockey and you do have a layup of a goal and you miss it, but you can still win that game.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. All right, and joining me on this episode today, I have the pleasure of speaking with who I call in the real estate world the most interesting man ever. Dylan Tent, the Heli Realtor. How you doing, Dylan?
Great, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for being here for real. Now, I checked out some of your interviews. I've done my online research about you, but I really want to know you a little bit more. So I have some questions for you. We're going to get straight into it. I see that you grew up doing extreme sports. We're talking about riding unicycles, dirt bikes, snowboarding, participating in triathlons, playing hockey with your father, of course flying in helicopters, which we will get into, but you have several regional and national racing championships, racing motorcycles for Ducati Detroit. You do a lot, man, ultimately. So I just got to know, where does this competitive nature come from?
You know, really, I was homeschooled until 8th grade. We had some property at my house. We had 6 trampolines at our house.
Nice.
I'd do my school books on one trampoline, and then I'd do a math problem. Then I'd jump to the other one and do a couple flips because I was bored. Then I'd go back and do a couple problems. If I got my school done by 9 in the morning, which I usually would, I could go to Mount Brighton. I could go to the skate park. We could go ride BMX bikes. So the incentive was always, oh yeah, if you get the schooling done, you can go have fun.
Oh, okay. That's relatively nice. And your version of fun was extreme sports.
You know, it just kind of grew that way. I don't think my parents liked it, but
Oh, really?
At first, because, you know, they were really against the motorcycle stuff specifically. Everything else they were pretty okay with. But, you know, you just kind of wear them down like Bart Simpson. You know, will you think Flash more? You know. So, yeah, eventually I got into, you know, riding motorcycles. I was like, I want to race. They're like, too bad. So as soon as I turned 16, I would sign myself in at the racetracks as an 18-year-old. You know, it's not like they checked your ID. So my AMA card, I think, still says I'm 2 years older than I am. And I would go race. And my dad, after the first track day, I come home and he does this to me. He goes, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, that's how you're going to steer your wheelchair when you get paralyzed.
Oh.
Steer me out of it, you know, because he's a chiropractor and didn't want me to break my neck.
Okay. Which makes sense from his perspective as a father, right?
Yeah.
Right,
but I was always careful, right?
Yeah. Okay, nice. So how do you feel like all of these or any of these extracurricular endeavors give you an advantage in your profession?
I would say, if you ever watched Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory.
Yes.
So watching him as an entrepreneur growing up, I was like, gosh, I love his ability to promote stuff and the way he promotes businesses. And it kind of was like, when I got into real estate, I was like, I kind of want to make it a little bit like that. I want to make entertaining, high quality videos showing off the elements of the property and having some type of, you know, attention grabber, almost like Richard Branson as well. Like Richard Branson's done some incredible publicity stunts over the year just to get attention. To the point where Coca-Cola had to basically threaten every gas station and convenience store in the UK to not allow their beverage that competed directly with Coke to exist.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah, I think he hired an army tank and drove over like, you know, 1 million cans of Coca-Cola or something in the middle of London. So, you know, and then everybody just wanted to buy their beverage, and it was crazy. And you know, Coke just kind of forced them out of the market. So it's just kind of interesting stuff like that, and you know, stuff that I enjoyed.
Oh wow, yeah, that's an interesting story. I never knew that. Thanks for telling me that. Okay, so let's talk about your personal accomplishment. If I'm not mistaken, one of your favorite personal accomplishments was obtaining your commercial helicopter pilot's license. Correct? Was this back in 2012?
Or, yeah, around 2012.
2012. So what motivated you to even obtain your commercial helicopter pilot's license?
So I was watching a Red Bull snowboarding movie called The Art of Flight, and in the first like 5 minutes, there's a scene where they're dropping snowboarders off at the top of a mountain, and then the helicopter does this like really steep, almost inverted turn, and it's in slow mo, and you just see the blades going in slow mo, and just going straight down and diving. So I was like, oh, this is
Right.
sick. So I just googled helicopter pilot job, and I was like, oh, cool, like that's a job that you can make money doing. Um, so I was in college at a community college, and I was just getting ready to get my associate's degree, and I had like maybe a month left of schooling, and I asked my parents. I was like, hey, instead of going to college, can I go to flight school? And they're like, sure, as long as you finish college. And I didn't really go back after my first flight lesson. So I'm like
So
3 weeks short.
So you never
Yeah,
finished.
I'm like 3 weeks short. Yeah.
But it worked out for you. You got your commercial helicopter pilot's license. That's
Yeah.
super sweet. That's super sweet. So what other accomplishments are you super proud of?
Um, we opened a helicopter tour business. I have one of my first students that's getting his pilot's license with me, so I'll have produced another pilot here pretty soon.
Nice.
It's been fun. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I've enjoyed with business. Like real estate's cool because the people that you meet, can change your life, and that doesn't happen with normal jobs. I don't think it happens as often with normal jobs. People almost get bought a salary to give up on, dreams, and they just keep
True.
paying you more to like prolong that. And,
True.
I think that the fearlessness of like, I'm not that afraid to fail from all of the other stuff, like the racing and the, other extreme sports stuff that, I never looked at it like, oh, I'm really scared to do this. And it almost might be a fault to some point because I'll try a lot of stuff that, I think other people would do, like, oh, I got to play this safe,
You're right. I believe chances make champions, man. You bet big, you win big. And we can see it in your story right there, man. So I like that you gave us that insight. That's beautiful. Let's talk about your beginning in real estate. Age 23, you obtained your license as a realtor, correct?
Correct.
This is 2014, so this is a couple years after you get your commercial helicopter pilot's license. How has the real estate industry changed since you obtained your license? More specifically in your market, and tell the people where your market is, what market you serve, by the
I
way.
work in southeastern Michigan, mostly Oakland, Wayne, Livingston County, Macomb sometimes, and then I will fly the helicopter to different, communities if I have to. For like the right house, I'd fly up to Traverse City, Bay Harbor, wherever.
Okay.
But how it's changed, I'd say, when I started, as far as video is concerned, people were really basic. They'd have like a drone fly over and some soft music, and it'd say the property address. And so I would put
Correct.
these productions together pretty early on, before most people were doing anything like that, at least in Michigan. And all these people be like, wow, that's a really great way to sell a house. I'd love somebody to represent my house that way. So I had this like head start there that I think other people, there's like several high producers at my company that were like, how much are you spending on these videos? Oh, that's a waste of money. Like, you shouldn't do it. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then, when I started posting stuff on Instagram and reels and stories, I'm like, oh, they're like, why are you wasting your time on this? It's just a bunch of young kids dancing. And I'm like, okay. Now all these people are doing all this stuff that we're like, you shouldn't be doing that. And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I think that video everybody that's in real estate will tell you that video is probably the most important thing to focus on. So I've just tried to make it fun.
Nice. So how do you feel like you've personally changed as a realtor since you began?
I used to wear suits every day. In 2020, obviously, like you weren't going into I went into the office every day during that, but you didn't really have to then. I haven't done that as much, but I think that this business hasn't changed very much in 100 years. It's always going to be a people business focused on relationships. So,
Right.
9 out of 10 people say that they'll use the same real estate agent a second time, but only 2 out of 10 do. And that's because people lose touch with people and they don't follow up. So I spend a lot of time, in the car calling past clients, sending them hand signed cards, just doing little really basic stuff to stay in front of them. And that's been some of the stuff that's been most effective to, keeping relationships.
There you go. Nice. All right, so I believe I saw in one of your interviews, you said one thing that you wish you could change or be better at would be time management.
Yeah.
I believe that interview may have been either 6 months ago or a year ago or whatever. But the point is, do you feel like you've gotten better at time management since then? What have you implemented to make yourself better, if so?
I hired a transaction coordinator, which has been wonderful for my business. Her name's Melinda Mitchell. She's awesome.
Okay.
There'll be times when I'm flying like a client somewhere or a friend, and I'll get stuff signed. Like I'm like texting and flying, which is probably frowned upon. But I'm like, hey, get this addendum out, like dictating into the phone. And
Right.
that's been really helpful. Just, you're trying to buy back your time. I see a lot of agents before they start making real money, they'll start hiring like an admin, and it's like they're giving up, in my opinion, a lot of their income when you could hire like a transaction coordinator on a per deal basis. And I think that's the way to go to start, because a lot of times I think people are creating so many salaries that there's going to be nothing left over for them. But starting with that transaction coordinator is wonderful, because you pay them when stuff closes only, not
Right.
and they're not working 40 hours a week for you. They're working, you're buying a couple hours of your time back throughout the month that the deal's going on.
Correct. Those seconds, those minutes add up, over time. It can add up to like a full-time position with just those little things. So I completely get it. It's just being more efficient with your production. I'm glad to hear that you've actually found a way to manage your time more efficiently. That's good, Dylan. So there's a quote that you said. I want you to explain this. You said, correct me if I'm wrong, the faster you're willing to fail, the faster you'll earn. Can you elaborate?
I think that people get, when you start getting uncomfortable with stuff, that's where your success comes from. Whenever you start feeling nervous about something, that's probably the thing that you have to take on first. But also, I think you should always double and triple down on what's succeeding. So people will hire expensive real estate coaches, and the coaches are just going to tell them like literally 7 basic things, and they're all going to say it in a different way. But it's really, you need to have conversations with people that want to buy or sell a house. And people will try to do everything to avoid having conversations with people that want to buy or sell a house.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, like they avoid like doing open houses. People are like, oh, it can't be that simple. It's like, man, if you do 2 open houses a weekend, you like can't not make $200,000 a year in this job. Just off of that. And it's not just off of that. It's about the follow-up after. It's about how you present yourself while you're there. You're not going to sit there and just play on your phone. Now, I'm definitely guilty of sitting there and playing on my phone, but I don't have to be it. I don't have to do that many open houses to get business anymore. I've kind of created a way to attract people to come to me more than I have to go the other way around. But I think people could build those systems, and but you get uncomfortable. If you don't like talking to people, that's what you have to spend a lot of time doing. Now, I sound like a girl on the phone, so I don't cold call. Get it all the time.
Whoa, I was gonna say, have you been told that?
Oh yeah. If I call in and order a pizza, Mrs. 10, calm down, slow down. That's what they say to me.
Please don't make assumptions, people. Yo, that's crazy.
So I never enjoyed doing the cold call type of stuff.
Right.
But
wow. Okay. Look, I got a curveball for you.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between failing and losing? If so, what is it?
There's definitely a difference. Failing is when you're playing hockey and you do have a layup of a goal and you miss it, but you can still win that game. Losing is after the clock runs out.
Woo! Spot on. Yeah, that's a great response. I like that perspective.
We lost last night. It was terrible.
Yeah. Great response. Yeah, I know I threw you on the spot with that, but I just wanted to see what your perspective was, and that's a great way to explain it. So, I see that you're an advocate for reading also. Dale Carnegie, Daniel Lesniak, some
Love
books and some authors that you've read. What are some valuable lessons you receive from these books that you apply to your everyday practice?
Um, I think if you just summarized Dale Carnegie's book in one sentence, it's be genuinely interested in people when you talk with them. My grandpa was a Dale Carnegie coach. My dad gave
Mm-hmm.
me that book to read when I was younger. I would recommend people read it once a year, once every other year. Listen to it on audiobook. But if you, when we're talking about contacting customers and past clients, a lot of times, and this is something I learned from the Ninja Selling book, which is also great, ask people the Ford questions. Ask them about your family, their
Mm-hmm.
occupation, their recreation, and their dreams. And once you get to dreams, you can weave yourself into the conversation because everybody dreams of owning a lake house, buying a house, selling a house, moving up north, moving down south. But if you get talking to about them out of the way first, the
Mm-hmm.
conversation will get back to you, and everybody wants to know about the real estate market. So you should always have a great answer for what's going on in the real estate market.
Right.
And it's crazy isn't the answer that you want to give.
I definitely don't want to hear that from a realtor.
And people are like,
What?
oh my God, I'm so busy. First of all, if you say you're so busy, you're saying, I don't have time for you. Call somebody else. This person's so busy, they don't even think about talking to me, right? So that's, these are things that if you think on the other side of the phone,
Mm-hmm.
they might contact the other person that isn't so busy for them.
Mm-hmm.
Other people, they hear that, oh, I don't want to get into a bidding war. It's like, oh, those are common right now, but there's still lots of strategies you can use to avoid that.
Right, right, right.
Things as being first. You want to try to be the first one in a house, put something in writing that's really attractive, and here's the things we can compete on so that we can avoid the bidding war. But the way that you communicate with people is really important. And this job, we're so focused on with this job, everybody is running around like a chicken with their head cut off, but you need to
Mm-hmm.
make people feel like you have the time for them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're doing it every week, a transaction. It's the biggest transaction they're going to do. So you have to remember, like when you're sitting there trying to shove an addendum in somebody's face and they're like packing their house to move and you're like, oh my
Right.
God, get this sign. And they're like, dude, like I'll get to it. Like you have to have some type of compassion for how
Mm-hmm.
stressful the process is for people. Cause
Correct.
we're just like, let's see how quickly we can get this to close so I can get a paycheck.
And you have to have all things considered.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes. Yes. Great perspective. I appreciate that. I wanna talk about this quote that I've heard that I think kind of applies to you and your situation in your career. I believe it says formal education will get you a portion. Self-education will get you a fortune. And with you being homeschooled up until 8th grade, dropping out of college, being an avid book reader, like I feel like you are the epitome of that. How do you feel self-education has been a major contribution to your success?
So I watched my father, who's a very successful chiropractor, does lots of stuff with nutrition, treats real diseases with nutrition. Um, he was not a wonderful student in high school or college. He was kind of a CB student. And
Mm-hmm.
he said everything that made him successful in his chiropractic practice, he learned off campus, attending seminars and gurus and
Yeah.
mentors and things like that, and then taking the best portions of what they gave to him and coming up with his systems. So I watched that my whole life. Now, also, um, my dad, every time we would be home, he would be reading a medical journal, trade practices, everything, and just studying. And then he would give lectures, and that was what started his practice out. Was doing weekly lectures, which turned into monthly lectures, which turned into quarterly lectures, and now he has an audience all over the world, and people do Zoom appointments with him just to get medical advice on different
Mm.
diseases, which again, most chiropractors aren't trying to treat diseases, right? So I
Right, right.
watched him use that, constantly being a student my whole life, um, to become one of the most successful chiropractors in the country. So and that's what I wanted to do because I never felt like I had this really incredible brain. Um,
Mm.
there's math problems that a 7-year-old could solve, and I can do 3% and 6%. That's about it.
Yeah, that's the only numbers you're concerned with.
They always told me we wouldn't be walking around with a calculator in our pocket. It's like, well, joke's on you.
I know, right? Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, what about institutional education? Are there situations where you feel like institutional education is necessary for success in real estate besides getting your license?
In real estate, no, I don't think so. I would much rather go to a, Tony Robbins seminar or something, or Grant Cardone, or go to a networking event than I would. It's like I was in business classes at the community college I was at, and none of the teachers ever owned any businesses. So they're sitting there like reading theory about a business, and it's like, man, none of you have ever done anything that was even interesting to talk about. So why are we paying you for this? And
Right.
And growing up through motorcycle racing is kind of an expensive sport. I was exposed to people that had built wonderful businesses so they could afford this motorcycle racing, and I just tried to absorb. I mean, we'd be in motorhomes driving across the country for hours, and I'm just trying to absorb everything I can from these,
Right.
people that have built really successful businesses. And a lot of those people have been my first customers. They've all been wonderful and really kind and supportive of me, because I think everybody's interested in real estate too. But yeah.
Yeah. That's going into what you said in one of your interviews where you mentioned find something that you love to do and just go there and meet people that love to do the same thing and build those relationships. Like that's one of the easy ways to kind of build your clientele. I agree with that. Well, that's everything that I had as of right now. Dylan, I appreciate your time. I got these questions that I wanted to ask you out, and I feel so much better. Do me a favor, please tell our audience how they can get in contact with you if they're interested.
Best way is probably Instagram, Helly Realtor. I have a Facebook page, Dylan Tent Helly Realtor, YouTube page, kind of across the board like that. I have a really great, if you type in Dylan Tent Helicopter Realtor, there's several videos you can find where it's kind of like my interview. If you're a real estate agent watching this and you haven't made a profile video yet, you should. It's very important for people to be able to take 3 minutes and learn a ton about you, so that before you even go to a listing appointment, these people are pretty warm with you. Also, you should video as much as you can. Save all of the footage so that you can make highlight reel videos so that people can see what you've worked on over the past several years. And they can go, oh, wow, he does work in Traverse City, or he does work in big houses or little houses. You want people to think that they can, that you're a good fit for them, and you're not too busy. Their house isn't too small, so you have to put small stuff and big stuff out there, and make everybody feel like that it's very important, the decision to work with you.
Wise words from a successful man. I appreciate you again, Dylan. Thanks for joining us. And for you, our audience watching right now, if you're on YouTube, do us a favor. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button so you can subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Hit the like button, give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to our channel for the latest content. I want to leave our audience with this. How has your housing situation changed over time? Drop your comments below. Besides that, we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.